Hi everybody, and welcome to a new episode here at IQ Central Dialogue. I am the host today. My name is FJ, and today we have a great guest. Obviously, we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but first of all, as we all know, basketball builds athletes, but culture builds identity. And actually, when the two come together, you don't just create players, you create leaders. So today we are joined by a national team player, a champion, and an author, someone who's not only competing on the court, but also preserving the language and culture off of it. So this is the story of Sulayman. So welcome to the podcast. We're happy to have you here.
Okay. Introduction, right?
Yeah, you're welcome. We're really happy to have you here. Just to get started, can you introduce yourself a little bit shortly and about your journey in basketball? So the people, I know a lot of people know about you in the Gambia, but just for the ones that do not know you outside of Gambia, perhaps or so,
Okay,
tell them a little
okay.
bit about yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so I am Sulayman, as you've actually said, a national basketball player for the national team. And yeah, national league player. And out of basketball also, I am a language specialist, author, culturally, and also as a writer separately. But yeah, for me, I think it's more about just, whatever that I have the capacity to do, I just take the challenge to actually do it. So that's basically me, simply.
That's great. And just to ask you, what languages do you know? What do you speak? So you speak obviously Wolof, English. Is there any other languages in the Gambia that you speak as well?
Well, Mandinka, I would say, but that's just, basic
Yeah.
understanding to just, get it and also communicate to a certain extent, yes. But hopefully over time also as you get exposed to the more theoretical stuff with languages as they're being standardized also. I think
Mm-hmm.
that also means more exposure for a lot of the other languages basically as a language
Okay.
expert. Yes.
Yeah, yes, of course. Reason why I'm asking is because obviously, as we all know, Gambia, there's a lot of languages. It's not only Wolof. We're
True.
gonna speak more about your book, of course. I speak Fula. That's my main language, obviously. So that's why I
Okay.
wanted to ask and see if you speak that as well. But it will come one day, inshallah.
Well, we're actually working on a photo book.
Perfect. That's exactly what
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you. I am gonna definitely look forward to that one. That's
Yes,
great.
I am working with experts for books in other languages. So that's actually a thing for the future.
Perfect. Love that. All right. So now we're going to get started into a little bit more of the basketball. Obviously, as you just said, and then I said as well, you are a national champion. And of course, we do need to ask you, I need to ask you, how does it feel or what did it mean to become under 21 national team champion?
Mhm. Well, how do I put it? I think having the privilege to actually represent country, I
Mhm.
think that in itself was everything. Like being selected to be a national team player was everything. And then, being in the stage where you were able to represent. And given the situation also, that was like the first time in a long time. And that was the first experience for me also. So it was really a privilege and, being there, knowing what was at stake and knowing that, you just had to show out. Like failure was not an option. I think that was just, the driving force behind everything.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to a lot of things that you're saying. Just having to play, because I play for the Guinea national team, but just
Right,
being able to play for one of my countries, right? Just being able to
right.
represent, seeing the name on the back of your
Sure,
shirt, having people, cheering for you. That's just a
sure.
whole different vibe than playing a regular game back home, you know?
Right.
So I can relate to what you're saying. So, and one thing I also know is that the mentality of playing for a national team and just playing like a local game is probably a little
Sure,
bit different because of the stakes are a little bit higher.
sure.
So, how do you feel like, did you feel like your mentality, like you had to, change up your mentality to work a little bit harder, or like how was your mentality throughout the national team experience?
Well, I think, the fact that you're playing means that you always have uphold this mentality of being the hardest worker you can be. So I guess it's only that the stages are different, national stage or league stage and international stage where you're representing country. So but for country, you just realize that now this goes beyond you. Now you have a whole nation behind you, and then whatever you do here is in the image of the nation. So even if I am failing, I just have to fail honorably. So I just
Mhm.
don't do anything that, people would look at me and I would have to bow down. So it was more
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that you say that. One thing that I think a lot of people think is because you have to be like national team. Obviously, it's a privilege, of course. It's not everybody that can be able to, there's just it's limited spots, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's the
limited
thing.
spots. That's the thing. It's not that many people that can actually join
Right.
due to the spots availability, but that's not a thing. But like, just like you said, the mentality should be it's just the stage that's the difference.
Yeah,
It's just the
it is.
location, everything. If you know that you can also be in the national team, you already know, like you're in it to be there because you
Yeah.
know that you have the capability to do so.
Yeah. You,
So it's just the stage that's the difference, basically. So I like that you
yeah.
pointed that out.
Thank you very much.
So one thing also, you've also reached the finals in the Gambian Championship and League.
Mhm.
And obviously, as we know, as athletes, high pressure, mental aspect, the physical aspect. What do you take from those high pressure moments? Is there something that you feel like you can handle? Is there something you feel like you've been struggling with sometimes? Being in like a high stake game or event, for example.
Okay, okay. Well, I guess, I think we all have different experiences when it comes to those in regards to, our level of mentality. And for me,
Yeah.
I think when it comes to like struggling in regards to pressure, it was my early days, like confidence and all of those things. So it was just something you had to
Mhm.
figure out in regards to identity. And once you found your switch, it was game over.
Yeah.
So it was more of now finals also, the approach, like how smart can you approach this? Know when,
Mhm.
what is the better approach? Mental, physical, game tactic and all of those things. And sometimes
Mhm.
having to remind yourself, because I think it also has to do with maybe the level of basketball in the Gambia. For me, I'm very, very realistic. So because I would not compare the Senegalese league to the Gambian league. So how I would see the Senegalese league is not how I would see the Gambian league in regards to level and respect and all of those. But I'm in the Gambian league and I know the standard here. So finals for me is not like finals for Senegal, but this is where I am right now. So I have to give it its due. And
Mhm.
you've eliminated everybody to be here. So for me personally, I give it the respect, and know that okay, whatever you do, just make sure you do what is in your capacity. Everything else, is not in your control. You just let it be.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Just to get a little bit deeper into that, because like you said, obviously Senegal is the closest comparison that we could
Mhm.
actually give right now, but between Gambia and the other countries in Africa. But so that's why Senegal is typically the typical country that we always
Sure.
mention, right? But
Right.
what do you, since you said like obviously the standards are different, which I agree is true, it's two different
Sure.
standards. But what
Mhm.
would you say is the standard right now in the Gambian basketball as for you that is currently playing there and been playing like in the the national team and winning championships? So like what do you feel like is the standard in the Gambia, and what do you think about it?
I think, well, I mean, I'll just be realistic. The standard, I
Yeah.
guess, if we're saying something to look forward to, I think it's mainly for the grassroots. If it's grassroots basketball, then you know that okay, there's something you can, be hopeful for and then walk towards. But I mean, at a certain age gap, it's more of, well, basketball is not paying. We have to be, realistic with that. It's not giving you a lot of opportunities. So eventually
Mhm.
you would have to attend to things that, well, give you the means to actually sustain your basketball, whatsoever fantasy you have. So
Yeah.
finding that balance means you cannot uphold it 100%. And
Mhm.
I would say it becomes the average for a lot of, people, like adult players. You have things to attend to. So it's like half-hearted. It's not intentional, but that is like the state of the, reality whatsoever. So, but you just give it your all in the ways that you can. So
Yeah.
it could be
Yeah.
better, but the environment does not allow for that.
Yeah. No, I think thank you for being honest. Honestly, it's not easy to also have players to openly feel like they can also be like honest about like actually what's happening
True,
in the
true, true.
Gambian basketball world. Because like I said, everybody knows each other. It's a very
Right.
political topic, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's very obviously
It
I
is. It
understand
is.
it.
It is. To make sure just put in what is most relevant and
Hmm.
then, go through with everything. And luckily, it was also what opened, a lot of opportunities later on.
That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. So, as you said, obviously you're gonna have you're working on another book, obviously a new language as well. Or that's an idea, if I'm correct. I don't know if you're really fully working with it right now, but it's something that you're planning on working on with a new book, with a new language, correct? As you mentioned earlier.
Okay. Yeah, so because now I was also nominated as part of like National Language Specialist, National Language
Congratulations.
Council member. Yes, thank you very much. So it means that I'm in the room whereby you have other experts to actually collaborate with. So I'm seeing teamwork, you know, what
Mm,
two can, and then they're more experienced. I'm like 3, 4 years into the field. They have spent their lifetimes into this. So whatever that has to be on the table, they're bringing most of it. So I just have to understand that. But for me, it's like business minded, business approach. And they're
yeah.
like the oldest, So each person brings something to the table. And which is why currently we've started on the Fuller. And we've tried, but we're using the same structure because
Mm-hmm.
there's already a blueprint with the Wolof. So
Okay.
we're just so it's not a lot of work. It's more about just having the appropriate information specific
Yeah.
for the audience, the technicality, that's where it is, and then make sure we have it produced. But I was thinking it's
Yeah.
easy work because it's like copy paste, but
Yeah.
again, not. But you have to be very careful because it's also different letter sounds
Yeah.
and all of these things, and I'm not aware of these things, so I have
Mm-hmm.
to work and then refer back to them. But
Correct.
we are in progress.
That's nice. And can you just tell the viewers that are watching this where they can find your book if there's someone that is overseas? Is it just you're just giving it to people like people in the Gambia, or is it people outside of Gambia that can buy your books? How do they go about that?
Okay, so given the fact that the target audience is actually mainly the diaspora and people also coming to live in the Gambia, so it means that there's a market here whereby Senegambia Topic Mall. Well, I have a
Mm,
platform anyway. I have a language platform whereby I put in information, also teach stuff on TikTok, Facebook, and also Instagram. So
mm,
that's one way. Yes, learn Wolof 220, the Gambian identity. And then for international sales, well, we're working on that. There's copies in America and then also the European market. So the market it was more about production, and now the strategy is being made for marketing. So we're definitely working towards that.
okay, that's perfect. Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to actually seeing that the other book as well, and also see if I can get your book, the Wolof one as well. That would be something I would really like to
No problem.
see. So I will connect with you obviously after this, and we will talk more about that for sure.
Panalano.
Jam tuntu na lang, ma.
Jamrek, jamrek.
Perfect. We're getting it. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere.
Sure.
Perfect. All right. So obviously, when we talk about basketball culture, education, we're talking about we're talking about preserving our language, obviously. So what do you
Mhm,
think, or do you think it is very important for our young Gambians to, or including athletes, to understand and
mhm,
preserve their language? Because here's the thing, and this is a little bit of a hot take. You can tell me what you think
mhm,
about this.
mhm. All right, all
When
right.
we come to the Gambia, a lot of people,
Yeah.
for me specifically, I do not speak fluent Wolof. I understand most of it and stuff like that. I can but if I
Okay.
say I don't fully speak Wolof, a lot of Gambians be like, why are you not speaking Wolof? But I'm like, hey, I'm speaking Fula.
True.
I'm very fluent in it. But
True.
it become like but you should, you must, you need to,
Expectation.
thank you, expectation, because no one said that Wolof is the language of the country. Obviously, as we
True.
all know, it's
True.
English. Sadly, hopefully they will change
Yes.
that one day. But it's like an expectation that if you're Gambian, you must speak Wolof. But then they forget there's so many other languages. Jola,
Right.
there's Mandinka, there's Fula.
True.
So what do you think about that? And also, what do you think about just preserving our own languages, our different languages in the Gambia when we go overseas or so?
All right, so there's like two questions.
Yeah.
So the one specific is more of, well, I think while you're also dealing with people who are not very open-minded. I think we have to, now this is my take, hot take also. Gambians are not very open-minded. We have to, call a spade, which is why people are most of the time entitled to their opinions as to how you should be or how what you should be doing instead of understanding that, well, there are factors that contribute to why a person, is in a certain position. But it takes, a certain level of thinking to also think that way in the first place and accept people as they come. And
Mm,
that is also something that we can link to, again, our languages, our cultural ways of thinking. Because again, we don't have our languages in informal context, like academically and all of that. So, and then it's more like through the teaching, even for myself, because I cannot hold a conversation for more than 2 minutes without speaking English. Right? As much as I teach the language, I'm guilty of that. And then that's the case for all of us. And looking at it, it's actually a shame because I think our culture, the way it thinks, if you're thinking through your mother tongue, interpretations are more vast, and then you tend to get certain ideas of what you're talking about better than when we're using, the foreign languages, because sometimes they can be limited in, what they can mean. And all of these things, they affect our thought processes as to how we see the world and how we live and communicate on a day-to-day. And it's also a problem we are not aware of. It's more like the Gambian that would never feel the need to actually see the language they're speaking in a book. To them, it's okay. But if you understand grammar, language, you understand that even our languages, the way they are structured is different from the Western languages. Which is why, well, some people would say, Gambians, wherever they go, it's easy to pick up languages and all. But then people also struggle to learn the local languages because of the way they are built. So we have a very complex system of languages that we're actually speaking effortlessly without actually
mm,
knowing, what how the system is fundamentally. So I think this also like a player, you're doing something, you should know the why and how. Your body, a lot of these things as a personal trainer with
yeah.
purpose, intentionality. And I think we like those things. And it's not even in us to think that, we should actually be intentional about these things. So we are actually playing the wrong game.
Mm.
Yeah, as a culture.
Yeah. No, no, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. That's why I wanted to, especially with someone like you that, working with, the Wolof language and working with people or you've been in this business now when it comes to, working with the books and learning languages, working with other people that are in different places, whether if it's in the Gambia, only if you work with other people outside of Gambia with other languages, of course. But that's something I know. Like you said, Gambians are it's not so open minded when it comes to languages because, like I said,
Mm.
there's so many different groups in the Gambia with
Right,
different
right.
languages. But it's like it has to be Wolof. If you
Well,
hear
yeah,
us, that's the typical like, and not that it has to be. It's like but why don't you speak it?
yeah,
And
yeah,
some
like the
yeah,
common
and
one.
exactly. And when you give them a response, oh, but this is why, but I do speak this language, which is my
Yeah.
mother tongue or my father, like, this is from my mom's and dad's side, and I'm fluent in it, I can speak it, but it's still not as like, I want to say like respected, but still like, oh, okay. But what about Wolof? It's still like,
But
what about?
let, let's also put it this way. I think when it comes to that, like the
Mm,
factors that would influence that, I think it like to implement certain things because it is a bold decision to actually take up one language and say this is going to be the national language because it means all the others are going to wait. And we're talking about identity here. Everybody is attached to, what makes you feel that, you are or what you are a part of. Well, Senegal has succeeded in that. It's like everybody is Wolof, when in reality, no, but that's what they speak.
Mm.
as a national language. Gambia has not done that. And it is a if it has to happen, it's a brutal thing.
Yeah.
It is not
Mm.
going to be the easiest thing to do. So it's like, okay, on that side, it's entirely political and this language is politics if you look at it. Like even standardizing on all of these things, dialects, who gets whatsoever and who wins.
Yeah.
So these are like, okay, these are already there hanging. Big problems, but we don't want to get there. And for people, you just have to make them understand. I think sometimes you just have to give people the response they need to hear
Yeah.
nicely, or sometimes you just ignore and know what you know. And know that, well, the mental capacity is not, open-minded, like I said, to actually even perceive things from a different side of the world. Because if you're exposed or you have been outside, I think you're going to see the world differently.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So that actually changes how you see things. And entitlement comes out of the picture.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, we're still, dealing with those things here.
Still, yeah, in different aspects of it, when it comes to basketball, when it comes to language, all of there's still a
Right.
lot of work, work that we
A
as a
lot, a
country,
lot.
a lot of work that we still have to work on. But that's why we're here talking about it, just to share some, shed
Yeah.
some light on it and having
True,
more people feel more comfortable speaking about it because it's very important. So
true.
we appreciate that you're here talking about us with that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So obviously, when we talk about basketball culture and education, we really are talking about legacy. So, what message do you have for young Gambians, or for, even if this was like your younger self, about balancing education, culture, and sports? Because there's a lot of people now that are in the age where they're trying to find their career. If they want to
True.
stay with basketball, should they not? Just life in general is starting to hit them. So what
Mm.
do you think is like a message for our young Gambians?
Well, one thing I know is I'm not going to speak like a motivational speaker, like believe in your dreams and all of that. Because, well, sometimes, that could actually put you in a deep hole to begin with. So for me, it's like um, there are non-negotiables when it comes to like identity. So culture, and getting yourself right. Like for me, it's more about put yourself in the capacity
Yeah.
to actually be able to win because the world is going past, that era whereby you can just hold on to one thing and put all your eggs in one basket. Because even if you're doing that, you're going to have to need other skills around other fields to actually help. Like whatever you're doing, like sports right now, you're going to have to market yourself outside and all of these things. So I just know that education is a non-negotiable. Education is a non-negotiable. It's not even an option, no matter what. Like for the younger boys now, if I see them, if it's more like, well, I've made that mistake.
Mm.
I've made that mistake. So if I see you trying to say dreams over this, well, yes, dreams, they would not die. But school, you need to go to school, get your results, and then think about, what else, because basketball is a sport. And then
Mm.
it's not like you put in 100%, it rewards you 100%. If we were being realistic for anything else, life, it can either work out or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then if it works out, fine, that's what you wanted. If it doesn't, maybe you have to work harder, or sometimes it's redirection. You have to look at the odds. And sometimes the odds that are against you, you have to look into something else.
Mm.
Like Gambian basketball right now. How many kids do we have? How many opportunities do we have on a yearly basis on people that make it outside? So you have to be like 1%, zero,
Yeah.
0 point, whatsoever in being exceptional, like the best player in your team. That does not even have to be a question. The best player in the league to even, have. So yeah, I think it comes down to the metrics, ratio, and all of these things. Like if you get technical with it, put the numbers on the table. I know we don't ever have the right numbers in regards to statistics, but you just look around your environment. Is it making life easier or not? Because even the outside, the pro life, the environment is, competitive. It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
yes. So it's not like a fantasy that the moment you're here, it's the dream has come true. So maybe also it depends on what the purpose is.
Yeah.
If getting out of here is the purpose, then yeah, if you're out, then yes, you've actually won. And then if getting to the NBA is dream, the goal, then you have to know what's at stake and then what the odds are, the ratio and all of these things. And then you can definitely decide around it. Like for me today, I cannot leave basketball. If I
Mm.
go and play and have a poor performance due to the form, I get depressed. It's like, boy, you have to get back to work,
Yeah.
regardless, if you're busy or not, but you have to get back to the court and make sure you are you, because that is me. That is my expectation of myself. The standard is high,
Mm.
but the situation does not let you live up to that standard. So how do you find the balance? Is it also very realistic? You can create your own league and
Yeah.
play. It's fine. It's all about the love of the game. So
Yeah.
that's it. I think that's what I would actually say. So, be
Yeah.
conscious, but believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. I think I was gonna forget about that. Like, it's okay to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
okay for people to disagree. Because if you're trying to be like everyone else, then sometimes it's a problem. You
Yeah.
have to stand out, I think, to actually have a better chance at anything. So yeah, it just comes down to those things. I guess my message has given the message anyway, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, we
definitely. No, it's perfect. I love the message, and also something I just wanted to put in as well, just a little extra, is athletes. I don't know how if you personally have had people coming to you, like any of the men's player or the boys players, like the youths, but having someone that they can ask questions to. That is not perhaps their coach specifically, or but just having someone, perhaps like you or someone else that they feel they're comfortable with, to ask like, hey, what do you think is this? What do you think is a good idea? Like just just exchange some ideas and thoughts. I feel like that's something that is very important for both the girls and the boys, the youths. Just having someone, mentor. It doesn't have to be called a mentor, but just someone that they can just look up to and be like, hey, like Sulayman, how did you do this? Like, can you help me out? Like, what should I do? Like, I really I wanna go somewhere, but I don't know what to do. Like, my grades are bad. Like, what should I, stuff like that. Just someone that they can just
absolutely.
exchange ideas. But I don't know if you have someone that's come up to you, but I hope that from now on that they probably would perhaps, exchange some words and ideas with you, because you have such good thoughts and opinions and insights about stuff, and you have, a broad perspective. So having to talking with someone like you or like us at the IQ Central Dialogue, I think it would be really good for them to start,
Sure.
exploring those options as well.
Right, right, right. Well, I think how do I put it? I think it is upon us to do that. It's not even an option because that's how we learned.
Mm,
Like through the older players, whatever question there was. I think first and foremost for the younger ones is take pride, ego, competition out of the side if you're looking to learn. Like,
yeah.
yes, you have to compete. You have to be ruthless in being competitive. But there's a place for competitiveness. And
Mm-hmm.
outside of that is entirely learning. To be better, you cannot think to be better than the other person. Then you don't get the information. So it's like be
Mm.
willing to approach, ask all the questions. It doesn't matter. For me, I'm a curious person and I also understand. So if we have younger players who are looking to actually, ask those questions, then it is never a problem. I'm always willing to share what I know. Is it from my side?
No, it's us. It's us. Don't worry about it.
Okay, okay. Because
Yeah.
I see this video playing
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so it's more like that, and then at the end of the day, I think for the kids, that's just it. Like ask those questions, ask
Yeah.
those questions. It's not even about being a mentor or something, but whatever you want to know, just ask. It's like
Yeah.
ask, you shall receive. You will
Correct.
either get a way to know how to do it, the answer, or what not to do. So there's always things you can learn from, information. I think that's just what I would put there. And yeah, hopefully we do a good job at, helping the younger ones also becoming their best versions.
Definitely, I agree. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sulayman. And right now, while you were speaking here, we popped up your highlights here. That's why you were a little bit. You were like, From which side is it? It's from
Yeah,
us. We had to showcase
confused.
people your talent. Of course, we cannot let them not see it. They have to see it, of course. So this is you right here, being very explosive and active here on the court. And obviously, as we mentioned here about like the outside court, as we mentioned, is not probably the best facility, or like the best playing ground. However, we're managing, and you
Right.
guys are still putting in the great work. Despite all of the
True.
facility issues, you're still putting in great work, which is something I think all of you guys in Gambia should be applaud
Right.
for. Definitely, definitely. And the last thing I would like to say before we end our topic right here, our conversation is, what are three things that you think would be helpful for someone coming into or heading into the pro or elite basketball, right? So now you're talking to a 16-year-old, for example. What are three things you think is something that they should think about or focus on?
Okay. Is it in regards to, are we also considering like environment?
Everything, just everything. I know it's three things. It's just one of some of few things, but just three things you think is something they should,
Yeah,
keep in
that would
mind.
be interesting. I have to pick out maybe three.
You can do
But
do as
yeah,
many as you want.
one
Do
thing
as many
for
as you
sure.
want.
No problem, no problem. Okay, so one thing I understand is as a basketball player, I think that has actually helped me in different environments. Is well, there has to be that strength, like something that you are a specialist in. But again, the world, I think everything actually sends that signal that naka, they're relying on one thing alone. As much as it can help you, it can harm you also. Because if we were talking about basketball, basketball is highly, highly competitive. You're going to be five players on a team. We all want that same spot. We're going to compete, ready to kill. And given that we're also not enemies at the same time, because we're just here to sharpen each other.
Yeah.
So in situations like that, because you will find yourself in situations like that. So how do you give yourself the edge to actually be able to give a quote, maybe, okay, you should take me over them without based on logic. What do
Mm.
you bring to the table as a shooting guard? Because if I know that you are a shooter, strictly shooter, and we have somebody who can easily shoot equally as good as you can, and they bring something else to the table, maybe defense or maybe a slashing ability. So they have an edge over you. You are either going to tell yourself the truth or you just, live in denial.
Mm.
And sometimes, as humans, we have biases. Sometimes you cannot see this. So for me, it's more like develop every skill necessary. Defense for me is non-negotiable as a basketball player. I think it's a way of stealing minutes anyway. You'll always be needed at some point. And then if you're fit enough, you could actually work on the defensive end and maybe pick up the few little things that will give flashes that you have potential on the other side. And eventually that builds up into an identity like two-way player. I know everybody's not supposed to be, but that's something for me, I take pride in. Like I have to be that. I
Okay.
have to want to pick up the best basketball player on the other team, normally the guard, obviously, based on height and position. So the
Mm.
guard sometimes, the one that is actually giving us a problem, I would want to take it up on myself to say, okay, we have to put a stop to this. As much as, okay, maybe I can sacrifice on the offensive end, let everybody else do the work. But if I feel that I can help here cover this gap, and because it's team at the end of the day,
Yeah.
for me, it's beyond just the scores. If we're here to play, we're here to win and go home. That's the thing. So we do what is necessary and then go home. And then be coachable, discipline, ego,
Mm.
these things. Uh, Also be able to balance being humble and also being confident enough in standing for yourself. Like when you have to do for you, do for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very thin line actually, but being able to do for you when you need to, and then knowing that sometimes you have to do for the other. I think these are all because it's a social environment anyway. So I think, it's just how you deal with yourself in your head and also how you deal with the people around you. So if the basics is good, I think you can always find your way out of any other situation. Be a
Yeah.
hard worker and all of those things. I think we already know the principles to it.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Thank you so much for your input. Really, I hope all the youths here they take this these advice and really implement it to their their daily life, daily routines, because this is something that can
Right.
definitely help them along the way for sure. And honestly, this podcast we try to bring people that give some important and some knowledge here that can help other people, and
Okay.
this is something you definitely did today.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you very
we
much.
really appreciate it. This just shows you don't have to only be an athlete. You can be a creator, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be all different things. You can wear different hats while also being an athlete. So
Absolutely.
that's something that you yourself is showing. And we think that's amazing. So thank you so, so much for coming here. I know you have a game, so we're going to make sure that you're going to get ready for that
Right,
one,
right, right,
mentally,
right.
physically, all of that, of course. But we appreciate you coming here today. Honestly, it was great talking to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the acknowledgement and all of that also. So maybe I might need to be getting back to this interview also to,
For sure. We will definitely come
yeah,
back for sure to
to
give some
make use of the
update.
information. I mean, the
Definitely.
things I said, maybe I can come back and use my own advice sometimes, I'm to the point.
Definitely, definitely. No, but we will
Yeah.
definitely have you again because there's so many things else we're gonna be discussing with you about your upcoming events and everything else about your
Right,
life.
right, right. Thank you
Definitely.
very much.
Thank you
And
so much for
Mustafa,
coming.
Wala mo na kasi kami binuko ba